Welcome everyone. Welcome to the Stretching for Skaters program, an easy to follow program that you skaters can do to feel better in your body and skate for even longer. Alright, welcome to day one, Monday, theoretically, but it might not be Monday for you if you're doing this video in a different order. But day one is going to be all about our hips. So that's going to be the main area we're going to be stretching. Some of these poses will be on the floor, so just make sure you're somewhere where you can be on your knees and that's going to be comfortable for you, but shoes can stay on and you don't really need any equipment for this one. So we're going to start by sitting ourselves down. Nice. So you're on your bum, your knees are up towards the sky, your feet are down, your hands are behind you for support, fingertips facing forward. Nice. We're going to go into a figure four stretch from here. So that means the left foot is going to stay where it is, pick up the right foot, and you're going to cross the right ankle just underneath the left knee. You're going to flex both toes towards each knee, so right toes towards your right knee, left toes towards your left knee. Hands are still down for support, and maybe that's already enough of a stretch for you and you'd like to stay here. You can do that. Or if you feel like you have enough range, you can bring that left foot a little bit closer to you. The main focus is still that right knee. It wants to be away from your face. So you're opening through the front of the right hip. Maybe with the right hand, you can gently push that right knee away from you. And you're just going to breathe here. So you could stay here, and that would be more of a static stretch. But for most of the stretches in this program, we're going to be exploring more dynamic stretching. So we're going to be rocking a little bit to the left and rock a little bit to the right and see what that feels like in your right hip. Maybe you might feel like you're creating a little bit more space each time you rock left and right. Breathing deeply into those hips, calming your breathing down. Lovely. Theoretically, you could stay here for as long as it feels good, that it feels interesting. For the sake of this video, we're going to keep moving ahead. So if you're coming with me, then you're replacing your right foot down. Hands stay where they are. You can step that right foot a little bit further away from you at first. And then you're going to pick up the left foot and cross the left ankle just under the right knee. Then from here, the focus is the left knee is going to be away from you. Make sure that you're still flexing the toes towards the knees. And then maybe you pick up that right foot, bring it a little bit closer. From here, breathing into that left hip, you can invite a little bit of movement from left and right. So it's a nice gentle stretch to start opening through one hip and then the other. And just also it's a nice way to assess where you are. So if you feel like that's already quite intense today, maybe today you take it a little bit easier with the rest of the stretches. If today you feel like there's more space, especially if you do these videos several times and then you notice that there's a little bit of improvement each time, maybe today you take it a little bit closer. Nice. Always practice the principle of not harming yourself. Always release everything gently. Don't push yourself too far. It's really just mostly about breathing, listening to your body, and looking after yourself. Cool. We're going to move into our second pose from here. So from here, we're going to lift up so that we're on our knees. Nice. So behind me, my toes are tucked. That means my toes are on the floor. My feet are not flat. That means I just have a little bit more stability from this pose. I'm just going to face the camera. It's essentially going to look like you're going to stay on the left leg exactly where you are, and then you're going to extend that right leg to the right side and bring all of the sole of the right foot down. From here, hands can come down, fingertips down, so you're more in a tabletop position with the right leg extended. And then you're going to rock yourself forward and back a few times. Still breathing deeply and still noticing what's happening in that right hip. This time we're opening more the inside of the right hip here. So noticing what's happening. And if from here you want to invite some little circles, you can invite some circles clockwise, anti-clockwise. Just going to shift so that you can see what it looks like from the side. Fingertips are down, and then you're circling the hips. And then going the other direction. Lovely. From here, come to the center. Lift your hands off the floor so you're back on your knees, and then come back with both knees down. Awesome. Then from here, your right foot, the one that was extended to the side, you're gonna step it in front and you're gonna be in a low lunge. So you can take up quite a bit of space here. The back toes are still tucked, so left toe is still on the floor. And then hands can be wherever feels comfortable, maybe hands on the hips. And then you're gonna shift the weight forward so that the hips come forward and you feel like you're stretching through the front of that left hip. That's your left hip flexor. So it's that part that connects kind of your quad to the rest of your lower abs here. We're stretching that area. And then we're gonna lean back, push ourselves a little bit higher, and press through that right quad a little bit more. And we're gonna do this a few times. Again, taking this more into a dynamic stretch. So the main focus here is our left hip flexor, the front of our left hip. And we're gonna rock ourselves forward and back a few times. Depending on how tight you are, you might be feeling more or less sensations here, but always breathe. That's the main thing. Come back to a deep breath. The reason why I'm asking you to breathe is because I'm not gonna get too nerdy about this, but a lot of times our bodies are trying to protect ourselves from going too deep in a stretch because it wants to stay away from injuries. So it's actually going to clench up if it's in a more stressed response and keep us from going deeper in a stretch. But if we breathe deeply, then we activate our parasympathetic nervous system. Trying not to get too nerdy here, but we activate our more rest and digest response, which then signals to our body that we are safe and that we can maybe go a little bit deeper in a stretch. So the more you breathe, the more you'll get out of these sessions. Okay, next time you're up, stay up and then maybe walk your right foot a little bit closer so you're more in a 90-90 lunge. So that means I'm creating a 90 degree with my front knee here and I'm kind of in a 90 degree with my back knee here. And then you're gonna interlace your fingers and then place your hands just in front of your right knee. You should still be able to see your right knee. Keep your spine straight, keep your shoulders away from the ears. And then the lower back is not going to move. All of this section is going to stay the same, but imagine there's a thread that's going to connect the top of your head to your right knee, and you're pulling on that thread so the top of the head gets closer and closer to the right knee, and then you're going to unroll. So with your breath, that looks like on the exhale, I'm leaning the crown of my head towards my front knee. On the inhale, I unroll the spine, lift the head back up. And you can do that a few times. The main area we're still stretching here is the front of that left hip. So you might notice that when you're in this position, where my lower body is still in the same position, it's only the crown of my head that rolls forward. I feel a bit of a stretch, an interesting sensation, let's say, in the front of my left hip. So this is what we're going for here. Keep breathing through it. Do this a few more times with your breath. Awesome. And then come back to the center, bring both knees down. We're gonna do that same section on the other side. So right knee is going to be down, left leg is going to extend, gate pose. Bring your fingertips down, and then rock yourself forward and back a few times. Nice. Lovely. You can invite those circles, clockwise, anti-clockwise. Nice. And then lift your hands off the floor, come back. Left knee comes down. Left foot comes forward, and we're going to pulse with our lunges here. So hands going to be on the hips, so wherever is comfortable. And then you're going to lean forward so that you feel that interesting sensation in the front of your right hip. And then you're going to lean back. And you're going to do this a few times. Moving with your breath. Seeing how far you can go on this side, seeing if this side feels a little bit different than the other, especially because we do an asymmetrical sport like skating. It's very common that we have imbalances between our left and our right side, between what feels tight, what feels open, what feels strong, what feels weaker. So it's also a good practice to just notice what's going on. Nice, and then next time you're gonna be up, stay up. You can walk your left foot a little bit closer just to make sure that you have those 90-90 ankles with your legs, and then interlace your fingers. Place them just in front of your left knee, and then keep your spine straight. Crown of the head goes up, shoulders come down. Bottom half of your spine is not going to move, but visualize that string from the crown of your head to your left knee. As you exhale, you're going to bring the crown of the head down towards your front knee. Inhale, you're going to unroll. And you're going to do this a few times. Noticing the sensation in the front of your right hip. Maybe this side feels less tight than the other, who knows? Depends if you're goofy, depends if you're regular. And then coming back to the center. Coming back on your knees. Cool. We have one more before we're done for the hip section. So come into a yogi squat. That means your feet are going to be a little bit wider than your hips. Your toes are going to be pointing out. Your knees are going to be pointing in the same direction as your toes. So your knees are not caving in. All of your feet are flat. The knees open in line with the toes. Think bum wants to go low. Crown of the head wants to go high. So you're creating as much of a straight line as you can with your body. And hands can come in front of your heart. Elbows pushing the knees out so you can lift the spine a little bit more. Two things here. If the heels need to be off the floor, that's completely fine. You can stay with the heels hovering. Perfectly valid place to be. Also, if you're at home and you want to bring something underneath your bum to sit your bum on, maybe you can find a stool, little block, little book that you can put under. Also, you might be able to put your board underneath you if that feels like a nice little chair, a nice little support for your bum here. Just an idea. Cool, so now that we're in our yogi squat, whether the heels are off or on the floor, doesn't matter. We're gonna be doing a little mobility drill that's gonna hopefully open up some space in your hips the more you do it. So it might feel weird the first time you're doing it, bear with me. Hands are gonna come in front of your heart, elbows are gonna be higher than your knees. And then the right knee is going to come in and wants to come and touch the floor in front of you. It might not touch, but go as close to the floor as you can with that right knee. Pivot on the outer edge of that right foot, and then lift the knee back up, and then do the same on the other side. Left knee comes in, left knee comes up. Do it a few times on each side. This is one of my favorite drills for my hips. I always feel so mobile after doing this little drill. Nice. Do it one more time on each side. Doesn't really matter how low you get. The more you do it, the more you're gonna gain range here. Nice. Okay, and you're back in your yogi squat. And because I said we're gonna keep those videos short, we're gonna cut this video here. However, if you want more hip stretches, also look at the weekend videos that are a little bit longer, and there'll be more here.